Hey, what's up, everybody? Kevin here. Welcome to the Snowboard Pro Camp live chat. I'll be on for the next hour to talk to you guys about snowboarding and answer any of your snowboard questions. I hope everyone out there is doing well. Stoked to be on here for the next hour to talk to you guys. And yeah, when you're asking your question, also let me know where you guys are watching from, because it's amazing to see where everyone in the world is watching from. And again, yeah, just stoked to be on here with you guys. Love talking about snowboarding with you. And if you guys have any questions at all, whether it's for beginner snowboarders, gear questions, learning tricks, anything at all, definitely just hit me up in the chat. And yeah, super happy to be on here with you guys. At the moment, I'm here in Whistler, BC, Canada. Whistler is actually getting some heat, so we've got some hot weather coming through. It's been just over a week, I think, since I've been on my snowboard. I went for a hike up to a mountain peak nearby here in Whistler and managed to find some good turns. And so that was really fun. Also got some new snowboard gear in the mail. So if you guys can see over my shoulder this way, I picked up the new Battalion Surfer. It's actually the 2020 model, and I managed to get it on sale. So I was checking out online, found some sales, and bought a couple 2020 snowboards. So I got the Battalion Surfer, and I got the 2021 Union Force bindings on it. And the unboxing video is ready to go, and I'll probably upload that tonight. So the unboxing of the video, even though you can see it now, but the unboxing video is coming for you guys tonight. And I also have another board that is directly behind me. I picked up the Jones Ultra Mind Expander. So right back there, and I'm gonna do a video on that setup as well. So I managed to get both of those boards for half price, just in case anyone's wondering. I don't have, somebody commented, Kevin is so rich. I'm definitely not rich. I just, I waited for the sales and I saw some good deals, so I scooped those boards up. So before going any further, let's answer some of your guys' questions. Yeah, just really stoked to be on here with you guys. Let's see what everyone's saying. All right, so a few quick shout outs to the people that arrived early. L Stackers on here. What's up, man, from Boise, Idaho. We got Highland Cow on here as well. Ricky Chambers, a million pop off. Scourge is on the chat. Lucas, InMotion SLB tuning in. Mr. Fresh 6. We got NGen, another OG on the chat. Rishi is on here as well. And man, so many people. Butcher Knife is on here. Oz Otto. Thank you guys all for tuning in early. Let's see who's got the first question. Let's see the questions here. Robert just asking, has anyone else been watching the snow cams in Queenstown, New Zealand? They're looking good today. Yeah, I saw them on Instagram. It was just like an Instagram post of the snow down in New Zealand. And it's tough to watch because I don't think that New Zealand is going to open for foreigners this winter. So unfortunately, I don't think we'll be able to make it down to New Zealand or Australia or South America. I think South America will be closed as well. But been looking into where we can. Oh, just one second, guys. I think there's something wrong with the stream. Let me know how the stream goes, guys. I got an error message, but let's just see. But yeah, in North America, there's an option to go snowboarding in Oregon at Mount Hood. So I'm stoked to go to Mount Hood, hopefully early July. It's kind of a toss-up whether or not I'm going to be able to get over the border, but I'm going to give it a shot. And then also over in Switzerland, in Zermatt, it looks like they have a really good terrain park over in Zermatt, Switzerland. Let's just check in on the chat, make sure everyone can actually... Oh, everyone's saying the stream is fine. Okay, good. Awesome, guys. Yeah, YouTube just gave me an error, but if you guys say the stream is good, then the stream is good. But yeah, trying to make plans. If you guys are looking for places to go snowboarding in the world over the next few months, and you're not already in a country that has snowboarding, a few places you can travel to. Mount Hood, Oregon is open for the next few months. And then also Zermatt, Switzerland. Looks like they have a really good park opening July 4th. And hopefully it's going to be open to travel to sometime soon. But yeah, really tempting checking in on those weather cams down in New Zealand and Australia. All right. Everyone's chiming in where they're from, which is amazing to see. Lucas watching from California. Emilian Popoff watching from Australia. Ricky from Melbourne, Australia. Shout out to all the Europeans staying up late to watch this. Rishi from California. Butch and Knife watching from Tennessee. We got Enjen from Posele City, Belgium, I guess. I've never... Posele City, very cool. 100 mile per hour films. Ian is watching from Scotland and Andrew watching from the UK. Philip is watching from Whistler. Awesome, man. What's up? I'll see you around town, Philip. Oh, and then Ryan is watching from Mount Hood, Oregon. And he says, will you be coming down for High Cascade? Yeah, so that is one of the summer snowboard camps, is at the High Cascade camp. And I believe I will be. It should be around the first 2 weeks of July. I'm going to contact those guys soon and hopefully set up a week where I can come down and ride at the High Cascade Park and make videos there. So that's the plan for early July, is to hopefully be down at Mount Hood. The challenging part is getting to the States from Canada. I think I can just fly to Portland and then rent a car and get over to Mount Hood. I think it's the border itself that it's closed, so I can't drive down to Oregon. So I'm gonna try to fly. Hopefully they let me through. Tomor is saying, do you or have you ever wanted to start mountain biking? Yeah, I was actually just thinking about this yesterday. Mountain biking is really cool, but it is hard to pick up two hobbies or two sports that are both so like high consequence. And so mountain biking, the chances of getting hurt are pretty significant, especially for like somebody who's not at a high level. So I'm just sticking with one sport that has risk, so only snowboarding. And hopefully, yeah, I stay safe just doing snowboarding. So yeah, it's tempting to get into mountain biking, but it's too high risk for me. It's also very expensive to get into mountain biking. So at the moment, just gonna stick with snowboarding and then maybe do some like mellow bike rides just with like a street bike. And yeah, Butcher Knife asking, do we have snow? Yeah, we do actually have snow here in Whistler. So the tops of the mountains still have quite a bit of snow, so we're good. And Craig saying Union Force or Union Atlas with a Battalion Evil Twin. Nice, couple good choices there. I'd probably go with the Union Force. So with a park-oriented board, you don't want bindings that are too stiff. So I think the Union Atlas, they're on the stiffer side of snowboard bindings. So even though the Union Force are still fairly stiff, they're on the stiffer side of medium, I would still go with the Forces. They're more leaning towards the center of what would be good for a park binding. You could even go softer. You could check out something like the Union Stratas, or even go softer than that with the Union Contact Pros. So it depends on what you like for park riding. I prefer softer bindings for park riding for sure. Excuse me, guys. And Shady's watching from Winnipeg. Richard from Austin, Texas. And yeah, thanks everyone for the likes as well. Eric wants to know if I've ever been snowboarding in Alberta. I've actually never been to Alberta, but that's someplace I'll have to visit next winter. It'd be great to do a road trip out to Alberta. We got Red's Cap on here. A couple super chats. All right, let's check out the super chats. We got NGen with the super chat. Thanks so much, man, for the support. He's with the sticker with the finger up. Thanks so much, man. Trenton Milligan with the super chat says, what decent flex binding do you prefer? Interesting question. So it depends on the type of riding I want to do. If I'm doing like all mountain powder tree riding, I want to get a stiffer binding. So yeah, something like the Union Atlas or the Now Drive, something like that. And if I'm riding in the park, I prefer a softer binding. So for park riding, something like, so last year I had the bent metal transfer bindings, and they're very soft binding, but great for the park. So it really depends on what type of riding you want to do. Juan saying, here in Argentina, the quarantine is strict. It seems that the ski centers will not open. Oh no, I'm so sorry to hear that, man. I think a lot of people in the ski snowboard industry across the world are really struggling right now, because even if places open, they're only opening with like a limited capacity. So I'm sure that even if places in New Zealand or Australia open, it's not going to be the full staff. So it's going to be tough for the people that work in the industry who normally, are lift operators, or they teach skiing, or they're in the maintenance side. A lot of people aren't going to have jobs the next few months. So hopefully people can find an alternative until things get back to normal. Shred1904 with the super chat. Thanks, Narav. He says, keeping fingers crossed for Mount Hood videos. Yeah, I'm doing the same. Yeah, hopefully I can get down to Mount Hood, ride at the High Cascade Camp, and hopefully I can fly down there, and the border security lets me in. It's a tough time to travel, and it's understandable. There's lots going around in the world, so it's understandable that it's hard to travel at the moment. All right. Everyone's saying what's up as well. Good question as well. Are all the indoor slopes open in Belgium? Yeah, that'd be cool. Let us know, guys, what indoor slopes are open, or if you just know ski places that are open preferably that have a terrain park. That would be really cool. I saw that another YouTuber, Jonathan Buckhouse, he was in Montana snowboarding, and it looked really fun. I don't think they had a park set up, but it's pretty cool that there are places that are still open for snowboarding. Richard saying, are you back riding or still sheltering at home? When do you think it'll be safe to start riding again? Yeah, so I've been snowboarding now so there was like a 2-month period that was like full on shelter at home, which was a bit tough. And then I guess here in BC, Canada, some things like the restrictions started to relax. Like hiking trails and parks started to open up. So I did start snowboarding about a month ago. So I've done like 3 hikes up the mountain and found some really good riding. So it was about 2 months of sheltering at home before not everything, but things started to open up a bit, and got to go snowboarding over the past month. And LEJ saying that Timberline Lodge is open at Mount Hood. Awesome. In Motion SLB saying that the UK indoor slopes are all shut down. And a million pop off saying literally with a super chat. Thanks for the support, man. Saying literally praying for Mount Hood vids. Awesome, man. Thanks. Yeah. Once I feel like with all this pent up time indoors and not snowboarding and not being outside, it's like once we can go outside and make videos again, it's gonna be full go. I really can't wait. So hopefully make some great content for you guys. And I hope that you guys get to go snowboarding soon as well. Manolo is saying the indoor slope in New Jersey still closed, but they are ready to open when allowed. Oh, that's great to know. And that indoor slope in New Jersey, I believe it's only been open for like less than a year, maybe 10 months. So that's a good option. Maybe snowboarding in New Jersey the next few months. That'd be super fun. Lukia is saying, what were you planning to do if the virus didn't break out? Good question, man. Yeah, the plan was to definitely do more traveling, visit more places. A lot of times in the late spring, we go back and visit Colorado. So probably Colorado would have been a place that we were going to visit and do some snowboarding. Copper Mountain and Keystone and Arapahoe Basin, places like that. And then hopefully get to ride with some of the YouTubers down there as well. Jonathan Buckhouse and Ryan Napton would have been great to collaborate with them. And then also summer-wise, either Chile or Argentina. That was last year we went to Chile for the first time. Was one of the best places to go snowboarding in the Southern Hemisphere. And this year we were debating either going to Chile again or going to Argentina and checking out Argentina. So I think we're not going to be able to do that this summer, but that was the plan. And also go back to New Zealand and Australia and for a longer time trip this year. So love riding at those places. And Cardrona, New Zealand is probably my favorite terrain park in the Southern Hemisphere. So wanted to go back to Cardrona for another month, but I think that New Zealand is probably not going to open. So until then, we're going to be going to Switzerland probably instead, and then also make the most at the High Cascade camp at Mount Hood. All right. Tomer is saying, I'm stuck between Burton Freestyle and Union Scott Stevens on a Burton Custom Small. I'm not sure what your question is, but I like the Union Scott Stevens. That looks like a really fun board. The Burton Custom Small. So like is it like a kid's version? I'm just curious if it's Flying V or Camber. I guess that would be the biggest difference between, the Union Scott Stevens bindings. Okay, cool. Oh, okay. So to put on your Burton Custom, are you going to put on Burton Freestyle bindings or the Scott Stevens bindings? Okay, good one. Yeah, that's kind of depends. If your Burton board, I don't know. I would maybe go with the Union Scott Stevens. I think they may have some better style to them, but it depends on what you like. It's hard to tell, but I would lean towards the Scott Stevens. We got a few more people joining the chat. We got Jose Bautista. What's up, Jose? We've got Anthony Foley. Anthony saying, it looked like Whistler didn't get that much snow this season. Is that true? Yeah, that is true. Like the first 2 months in Whistler, November, December, it was very dry in Whistler. So the season didn't really get going until January, and then it closed like mid-March, or yeah, around there. So very short season here in Whistler, probably one of the worst ones on record. Luckily I got to travel a bit, got to go to Japan, which also had a rough season, but the week that we were there, or the 10 days, we got super lucky with tons of snow. Unfortunately with snowboarding and snow, it's always a gamble. So yeah, one season could be great and then followed by a terrible season. So it kind of alternates and it just happens. All right. Tony is saying, hi, Kevin, how far would you be prepared to drive to board in a day to return home? Living in the UK, it's a whole day to get to the Alps. Oh, wow. Yeah, I could see myself like driving for a day to ride for one day and then driving back. Yeah, as long as I think that if the drive itself, there's like that experience is also like a fun experience and sort of an adventure in its own, the whole trip down. So that can be an experience in itself. So I would do a day drive to ride for a day and then drive back. But yeah, you got to look at it as like not just one day of fun, but I think if all 3 days, including the days of travel, are also enjoyable, like I'm sure driving through Europe, through the Alps, going across the English Channel and all that stuff, that whole process is going to be a cool experience. So that's the way I would look at it, and I would definitely do it. All right, so on Kriegsman says, hey, can a Flex 4 board be good also at speeds and friendly races? So a softer board like a Flex 4 is you can race it, but it's not going to be as stable as a stiffer board like a 6 or even more. So it'll still work. It'll definitely still work. You're just not going to have those record-breaking times, and you might lose a few races where you're going to feel much more stable with a stiffer board. So if you have the choice and you can choose, definitely go with the stiffer one for racing and for speed. Snowboard Lifestyle saying, been riding at Mount Hood every day this month. That's amazing, man. Hope you've been having a good time. What's the park setup like? Is the I guess the Palmer lift just recently open, and how's the public line been? And we got It's Bicorn on here as well. What's up? Team Torg says, what boots would you recommend for riding park with a 2019-2020 ride twin pig with Union Forces? Always the best boots are the ones that are comfortable on your feet. But for a park setup, I would I prefer softer boots. I feel like softer boots, they let you do those more like fine-tuned movements when riding in the park. So I prefer a softer boot. And like two brands that I've been impressed with are Adidas and Vans. So I would try on some Vans, try on some Adidas. I recommend too the traditional laces. I find the traditional lacing system has been the way to go, at least for me. But yeah, try on some softer Vans and Adidas boots. Make sure they're comfortable on your feet, and I think that's a good park setup. Tomer saying, is forward lean adjustment important? Absolutely. I feel like the forward lean is like one of the most important things that is definitely overlooked by a lot of snowboarders, especially new snowboarders. So when I used to teach snowboarding, and if I had a beginner class, the first thing I would do would always be to adjust their high backs and their forward lean. Because when you go to lean on your heels, especially like for the first time when you're a beginner, if your high back is set to 0 and you have no forward lean, then you're going to be leaning back and your edge is going to slide out, and it's going to be really difficult to do your heel edge. So I feel like for more advanced riders, you can get away with a high back is 0, but for beginner and intermediate, adjusting the forward lean like forward to maybe like mid or even a bit past mid. So if it's a 1 to 6 or 0 to 6, 0 being no forward lean, I like to go to a 3 or a 4. And it just helps with your heel turn so much. And especially for beginners. If you guys are ever teaching somebody how to snowboard, the first thing I think you should do is adjust their stance for them, because sometimes a beginner comes out and they don't know how to set up their board. And if you see something that can be adjusted to make their riding better, like definitely do it. Like insist on doing it, because setting up the angles right, setting up the width properly, and then adjusting the high back and the forward lean will make such a huge difference in a person's day. So when I was teaching, I always did that first thing. Like if I had a class of 6 students, I would adjust all their stances. And then if they didn't like it, you can always adjust back. We got Hetman saying greetings from Poland. What's up, everyone in Poland? Thanks for tuning in. Luke saying, what is your favorite snow? I've seen you ask that question a few times. Like, where has the best snow? Probably Japan. Japan has the best, lightest, deepest powder snow. Next to that, for me, like from what I've ridden, Colorado and Jackson Hole between, or I'd throw in Grand Targhee as well. Those places also have super light, super deep powder snow. So, but Japan definitely takes it. Oh man, loving it, guys. Thanks for all your comments. Thanks for all the questions. Thanks everyone for tuning in. We got 34 likes. Yeah, really appreciate it, guys. And for everyone with the super chats, just a reminder that if you guys haven't yet, definitely subscribe here to Snowboard Pro Camp. Yeah, I got a new video coming out tonight on the unboxing of the Battalion Surfer and the setup with the Union Force binding. So stoked to share that video with you guys, and subscribe as well because I've got more tutorials coming out. So with all this downtime, with staying home, being indoors, had some time to break down some footage and create some tutorial videos for you guys as well. So excited to release more trick tutorials and riding tutorials too. And in the last chat, somebody commented about doing like how to progress over 7 days, like a week-long progression. So that's a really cool video idea that I'm going to work on putting out as well. A few shout outs too. We got Osvaldo joining the chat. What's up, man? Hope I haven't missed anybody. Arnaud, we got Arnaud on here. Big thanks to all the moderators as well. You guys are keeping the chat nice and clean and organized. Love it. Manolo saying, man, I hope this coming winter is good in Whistler. I'll be returning this December or January. Awesome, man. Yeah. I doubt it's going to be bad 2 years in a row, but you never know. Nathan saying, any trends in the snowboarding industry that you're not a fan of? Yeah, good question, man. So not too many things. Like I do like most things in the snowboard industry across gear. It's always fun to see what new products are coming out, new gimmicks. Sometimes things that are gimmicks turn into like becoming normal in snowboarding. A couple of things that that I don't like in my riding in the gear. I'm not a big fan of the Burton EST system. I found that when I rode EST boards and bindings for years, and I always found that the bindings would like move from time to time. And so it was just so much work, always having to like remember to tighten the screws like every day or every couple of days. So I wasn't a huge fan of that. I guess that's like a normal now, but when the trend started, I wasn't a big fan. Also, I'm not a big fan of the trend of moving away from traditional laces. Like I think that traditional laces on snowboard boots is still the best way to go. Like I understand like the boas and the speed zone is convenient and it's like a good way maybe for somebody to get into snowboarding. But for me, I feel like the way that you can customize the tightness of your boot and the different areas and just keep them tight over the whole day. And then also just the longevity of laces over the other systems, I think it's the way to go. So I'd say those two things, the traditional laces and the EST, I'm not a huge fan of. But yeah, most stuff in snowboarding, it's always cool to see and try out. El Stacker with the question, are you going to get the new Hydro jacket? Yeah, so I think that's by 686, right? Honestly, I don't think I'm going to get the Hydro jacket just because like I usually do carry a backpack or some kind of bag with me. And I'm not always riding with a backpack, but I'll take it up the mountain and store it somewhere, and I'll have water in there, or I'll just go into the chalet for a break and get some water. So the Hydro jacket for me, I would I don't think I would use it too much, like using that water system. So I probably won't get it, but it's kind of a cool, that's kind of a cool trend too. Ricky Chambers with the super chat from Australia. Thanks, Ricky. He says, been doing some backyard training in Australia behind a ride on lawnmower while we wait for more snow. Give it a crack. Dude, that is amazing. What? Okay, you gotta film, you gotta make a video about that. Snowboarding behind a ride on lawnmower. That's amazing. Dude, that's a good idea. That could be a viral video. Ricky, you should definitely make that video. Oh man, that's cool. Okay, I'll try to get some of the other YouTubers together, and I'm sure Janice would be down for that. Janice Spiteri would be down for. I'll drive the lawnmower and I'll like tow her behind on a snowboard, and it'll be like on a rainy day on like wet grass or something. I'm sure she'll be down for it. That's awesome. Hetman saying, do you know the Polish snowboard brands Pathron or Raven? No, I haven't heard of those. I'll have to look into it. Man, there's probably so many hidden snowboard brands. It'd be great to learn more about them. Richard saying, when does new gear get released for the year? So I can cop some of last year's gear for cheap. Yeah, so at the moment, like for myself, I recently bought 2 boards from the past season and got them both half price. So the deals are going like right now. Like I picked up the Battalion Surfer and then the Jones Ultramind Expander, both half price. So the deals are going. So you don't have to wait for the new gear to get released. But typically in North America or in the Northern Hemisphere, the new boards will start appearing around late August, mid to late August, up and through the end of October. I believe last year here in Whistler, there was a shipment of Burton boards that came into the store like mid-August, or maybe even early August. When was that? It was maybe mid-August. But if you live in the Southern Hemisphere, down in New Zealand or Australia, then the next year's snowboards are already there. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. And there are a few things like the Union put out a few 2021 bindings a few months ago. So there's a few like outliers too that come out early. Oh, Red's Cap with a really good question. He says, Kev, what can you say about your new Arc'teryx bag after your last hiking / riding? Yeah, so I did pick up a new backpack for hiking. It's the Arc'teryx, I believe it's called, the model is Camski, 38 liter. And yeah, it's amazing because when you're doing like really long hikes, like the biggest, you got the board attached to your snowboard attached to your bag, you've got your boots, all safety gear, your bag is just full of stuff. So it's so heavy. So you need like to have the bag like really secured around your chest and around your waist. And I found that with some of my Dakine bags, the waist strap was actually too high. And so it wasn't, the functionality of the waist strap was completely wasted. So with the Arc'teryx Camski bag, it's built more to be a hiking bag. So it has like a proper waist strap that was like long enough that it actually was around my hips and around my waist. And it just took all the weight of hiking off of my like shoulders and just from like pulling down on my neck and put it onto my waist. So yeah, it's huge. It made the hike so much easier. And I definitely recommend that if you are a snowboarder and you want to do hikes with your board like strapped to your bag, actually try on the bag in the store and make sure that the waist strap is actually going around your waist. I think some of the bags are like, they're almost like more, they're not as functional and they're a bit more just for the convenience of carrying things. So for some of the bags that are for like proper long hikes, like you're going on like a 3-4 hour hike, up into the mountains, then you really do need to search out like that proper functional backpack. And Arc'teryx, yeah, they killed it. The Arc'teryx Camski. Yeah, I'm looking forward to doing more hikes with it. It saved me. Good question, Reggie. All right. Yeah, a few people saying that they know some of the Polish snowboard brands, Raven, and Million Popov saying Belgian snowboard brands called Cloud and another called Balkan. Very cool. Cloud 9, that is. Cullen with a board question. He says, is traditional camber, the board is traditional camber, but I don't know if it would be good for powder riding. The DC Media Blitz. So there's a couple things you want to look for when buying a powder board. I would say the first one is that the board has a taper, meaning the nose is wider than the tail. And what I look for is that for a true powder board, you want the nose of the board to be about 2 centimeters wider than the tail. And that shape is going to help the tail to sink and the nose to float. So that's really what you want in a powder board, is like a taper. Also, rocker does help with riding powder. Rocker just makes it so that you don't have to lean so far back to keep the nose up. That rocker shape, the rocker shape this way just allows the board to float easier with like less effort. And it also makes it looser for turning. When you're going from edge to edge or like from turn to turn through the powder, that rocker shape allows the board to turn just quicker and with less effort. So I would say if the Media Blitz, if it's camber, then that's maybe not the best shape for a POW board unless you're really advanced. And then also, does it have a taper? So check out those specs when shopping for a POW board. And No S Leno says, can you change the wire of a boot with a BOA system? Yeah, you can. So I think most snowboard shops that sell the BOA system boots, they have some kind of deal worked out that if you bring in the BOA boots and they're broken or the wire needs to be replaced, that the shop will actually do it for you for free. So maybe call your local snowboard shops or the shop where you bought the BOA, where you bought the boots, and see if they'll fix it for you. King Pharaoh says, can you tell me the difference between a jibbing board and a park board? Awesome question. Yeah, that's kind of like a niche thing to know. It's like very subtle, I think, between jibbing boards and park boards. But I would say the difference is a park board is a bit more of a general term. So, some people like softer boards for that looser feel, easier to press, a bit less control with a soft board, but easier for doing jibs, where you can also have a stiff park board. So say for doing jumps. So if you're going at high speeds, doing big jumps, and you need that stability, then there's also park boards that are stiffer. So I think that jibbing boards are typically going to be better for rails, boxes, and a lot of people like their jib boards to be a bit softer. And I would think also have some more rocker built in, because a rocker board is going to be a bit less catchy and forgiving. So I would say the biggest difference is that a park board, the specs can kind of be all over the place in terms of softness or stiffness. But with a jib boards are typically for rails and boxes, and jib boards are going to be softer and have more rocker. That's my best guess. I think that's what it is. If anybody else has an opinion between park boards and jib boards, it'd be awesome to hear as well. Red's Cap saying 67 homies. Can we request hit the like button? Awesome. Thanks, Reggie. Yeah, we got 47 likes. That's pretty good. We're almost breaking 50. And Pavel says, hey, Kevin, do you still like the headspace? How far into all mountain riding can you push it? See its limits. I think of getting the 155 wide. I'm 183 centimeters, 79 kilograms, size 12 US boots. What do you think for all mountain? The headspace is awesome for park. And I would say it's good for all mountain as well. And yeah, it's probably my favorite park board just because the magnet traction gives you so much control. It's camber dominant, so it gives you more control as well with the camber. It's not, and it's still soft enough for doing butters and presses. I think if you are looking for a more of an all mountain focused board, maybe check out a different GNU snowboard, because there are GNUs and LibTech boards that are very similar to the headspace in terms of their specs that are more all mountain focused. So maybe take a look at that, especially with the size 12 US boots. I would hope that the wide headspace is wide enough for your size 12 boots, but it may not be. So what I would do first is just compare some other boards, like go into the specs and look at the width and just make sure that the headspace wide is as wide as some of the wide all mountain boards, just to make sure that you're not going to have any toe or heel drag. But yeah, if you like it if you're thinking about taking it all mountain and into the terrain park, then that could be the perfect board. But if you're looking for more all mountain, like strictly all mountain, maybe check some of the LibTech and GNU all mountain boards, because you can get them with the C3 profile as well. They'll have the magnet traction. But yeah, they may be a bit wider, and you can maybe even get a board with a bit of a taper for taking it into powder, because the headspace is definitely not the best board for powder. So yeah, good question, man. Take a flight, FPV says, do you teach snowboarding? I don't teach snowboarding anymore, but the first 9 years that I lived in Whistler, I taught snowboarding full time for the mountain, and yeah, loved doing it while I was teaching. I taught mostly teenagers from all levels, from beginner to advanced, and it was it was an incredible experience working for the mountain. Being able to be up there every day teaching 5 days a week was super fun. Especially, I love teaching teenagers because they're big enough that they can actually do the tricks or ride the terrain, and but they're also not too serious or worried about risk. That they're a bit more of risk takers. So we went on lots of cool adventures, doing cliff drops, learning tricks, and it was super fun. So yeah, I highly recommend if anyone out there is thinking of becoming a snowboard instructor. It's a super fun job, and it can be hard to make a living off of, though. So that's why I got into YouTube, was because it's expensive to live in a resort town, and sometimes being an instructor doesn't quite pay all your bills. So that was the tough part. Cody Kimber with the super chat from Australia. Thanks for the support. Cody says, Devo, you can't come to Australia. Yeah, I definitely cannot come to Australia. Yeah, I think the border is going to be shut down. So unfortunately, no New Zealand, no Australia this season. Engen giving the thumbs up on headspace is wide enough for size 12. Okay, awesome. Thanks for the feedback, man. Take a Flight FPV saying, have you ever tried a one wheel? I've never tried the one wheel. No, I have ridden the boosted board, electric skateboard, and I've seen actually tons of people here in Whistler riding the one wheel around the neighborhoods, but I have not had the chance to ride one yet. But yeah, I hope to. Adam Searles is on the chat. What's up, Adam? He says, sup legends. Hey, Kevin. Loved your last video on Andreas's channel. Your filming at the 19-minute mark is outstanding. Stuff dreams are made of. Very impressive. Best vid with Andreas thus far. Awesome. Thanks so much, Adam. Yeah, I had a blast that day on the hike with Andreas. And when he premiered his video, we were actually at Chris's house up the street. It's kind of funny. We all like live in the same area. So we got together to watch the video premiere on Andreas's channel. And yeah, he nailed that video. He did such a good job. The music, the hiking, the riding. It was such a fun day. Probably my best day of riding, yeah, in the last like 3 since the lockdown. So it was super fun. And yeah, if you guys haven't yet, check out Andreas's channel as well, Andreas Schubert. All right. Austin saying, "Hi Kevin, I'm looking for an all mountain board that I can shred at the park with. Any suggestions? Right now, I'm looking at the Arbor Westmark Rocker 2020. Yeah, that's a great one. I used to ride that a few years ago. Really fun in the park, and yeah, it's great all mountain too. I would say depending on your ability level, it's like if you're beginner intermediate, then the rocker version is awesome. If you're like high intermediate or advanced, then maybe look into the camber version. The camber version is a little bit more aggressive, so maybe a bit more leaning towards all mountain, but the rocker version is really fun for presses, a bit more forgiving in the terrain park. So yeah, that's a good choice, man. I love it. And Powers 14 SJ says, how did you become a snowboard instructor? Yeah, so when I was 19, I took a instructor course. I think it was a 3-day course, and it was maybe like $300 or $400. And before I actually took the course, I went to a ski resort, and I asked them if they are hiring snowboard instructors. And they said that they were, and they told me basically that if I passed the course that I had a job. So I passed the instructor course on my 19th birthday. So that was pretty cool. I think that helped me pass, maybe, that it was my birthday. I don't think my evaluator was going to fail me on my birthday. So that was cool. And then I think a day or two later, I was working, teaching snowboarding at the resort. And yeah, it was cool. I couldn't believe that people were paying me to snowboard. That was the best part. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, I think it's pretty straightforward. You can take a beginner or like a level 1 instructor course in most places around the world. They have them a few times a month in a lot of places. And yeah, and then if you talk to a resort, tell them, hey, like I'm taking my course. Can you hire me depending on if I pass the course or not? I'm sure there's a good chance of getting a job. And then if you don't pass the course, you can always do something else at the resort. There's lots of other jobs to do, and then retake the course. I know some people, they may not pass it on their first try, but then they pass it the second try. So I did other courses as well. So I did my level 2 instructors and also my level 3. And then for my level 3 course, I actually failed it the first 2 times. It's pretty difficult, but by the 3rd time I passed that course, and it was pretty rewarding knowing that it was pretty tough to do. So yeah, lots of fun instructor courses out there. All right. Highland Cat wants to know, is YouTube Premieres a new thing? No, actually YouTube Premieres has been around for just over like about a year and a half now. So it's a cool thing. Yeah, you can set the time and then watch it with everybody and talk to everyone in the chat. So it's fun to do once in a while. And yeah, Marani says, what is the instructor's test like? Is it just riding? So my instructor's course, the level 1, it was like you have to be riding at an intermediate level. I think it was like high intermediate. So you had to just do proper instructor turns, which is tough to know what the turns are going to be like until you're there. I think you can take some instructor like prep courses, but they basically want you to do your turns and ride like an instructor. So just with some like proper technique. So there may be some things in your riding that you need to adjust on the fly, but they kind of take you through it. I feel like because I was in the snowboard instructor like system for a long time, a lot of my riding videos include some of the like techniques that are needed to become a YouTuber. So, or to become an instructor. So maybe check out some of those videos, and that could help you with the test. Take a Flight says, I wish I could quit my day job to work at Breck. Give it a try. Why not? Chris wants to know, what did the level 3 include? The level 3, I think it's like these terms like advanced, I think it was advanced carving turns, advanced sliding turns, obviously like riding switch, the ability to teach teachers. So like teaching how to teach, I guess the term is called pedagogy. So that was a little bit tricky to understand, and yeah, learning how to teach teachers, which is pretty interesting as well. But the hard part was just learning to like say carve like the way that they wanted to see it, and to just be doing it flawlessly. I think there was a park segment as well. So at that time, I think we had to do front side and backside 180s, I believe, or it may have been front and backside 360s. I can't remember, but you had to do a front side and backside spin, probably a straight air with a grab, and maybe 50-50 like a box. So there was and I think it's changed since then as well. So when I did it, yeah, it was carving and sliding turns, a few park tricks, and then showing how to teach the turns, showing how to teach in the park, and then also showing how to teach teachers. So it was pretty interesting. And Shred 1904 says, I want to take a YouTuber course. Nice, man. All right. A Million Pop-Off says, Narav, I give them for free. I've got about 30 subscribers. Hey, that's perfect. That's a start. Stoker says, hi, Kevin. I'm not sure which board to buy. I can choose between Libtech Banana Skate and Jones Frontier All Mountain. Awesome. Two cool boards. If those are the two you have to choose from, I would say it depends on what you want to be doing on your snowboard. So I think the Libtech Banana is more designed towards park riding, and the Jones Frontier All Mountain is in the name, is probably more of an all mountain snowboard. So choose what you want to do more. Are you more into learning tricks? Go with the Libtech Banana. If you're more into carving and riding the rest of the mountain, then go with the Jones. Mac321 Bell says, would you recommend backpacks for beginners, or would it throw them off too much? Yeah, I think that when you're a beginner, you definitely don't want to wear a backpack, because yeah, it's going to throw off your balance a little bit. And when you're a new rider, like, yeah, the balance is huge, especially you're going to have a few falls, and falling with a backpack is not going to be good either, depending on what you got in there. But, yeah, it's going to throw you off a bit. So just leave it somewhere safe when you're riding. Like, bring the backpack to the mountain, but just leave it somewhere safe. Anders wants to know, have you traveled to Chile? Yeah, last August we went to Chile for, I think, 2 weeks, and flew into Santiago. First, we went to Nevados de Chillán, and the snow was pretty good there, but we saw that there was a big snowstorm going towards an area called, a resort called Coralco. And then we went there the second half of the trip, or like second 2/3 of the trip, and we had like an amazing time, lots of powder, split boarding adventures. We found an abandoned resort where we built like a kicker up onto the chairlift cable. It was amazing. Yeah, Chile was so much fun snowboarding. Wanted to go back this year, but looks like we'll have to wait until the next season. Shred 1904 with a good question. He says, looking back, which SPC series would you recommend us to watch again if you had to pick a top 5 favorite tutorials or trip vids? Miss snowboarding. Oh, wow. That's a good question, man. I would say a couple of trip vids that are pretty memorable to me. There's one, I think it's the first trip to Japan, and there was a day, and either the sushi and snowboarding video or I think it's called like Epic Japan Powder Snowboarding. But the first Japan trip, that was pretty special. Another video, what's another video? Back to being in Europe, and oh man, which one? Probably the day, the powder snowboarding day in Morzine, France. That's a pretty cool one. And a tutorial video. The tutorial videos are tough because there's so many, and it depends on the person. But maybe go back and check out some of there's a couple of fun videos I did with Chris. There's like the butter video, 10 butters with Chris. That's a fun one. Oh, and then classic video is jump progression with Doug. So actually, I would say the jump progression with Doug one, that's got to be the number one. Go back and check out video, because that day was super fun. Doug is such a legend. Oh, and speaking of Doug too, there's definitely a video in there. I think it's called Dipping into Powder at Mount Bachelor. That's a great one with Doug as well. So yeah, a couple of those. Good question, Narav. Luke says, are you guys going to Landgraf again? No plans at the moment, but if it's an option to go snowboarding there and there's not too many others, then Landgraf is a possibility. In Motion SLB says, yes, that 10 butters and Doug progression video are classic. Nice. Take a Flight wants to know, is that wallpaper? Yeah, behind me is wallpaper. It's not real, but I thought it was pretty cool. It's not technically wallpaper. It's like it's wall art. A Million Pop-Off says, I've had some smashed sandwiches and bananas riding with a backpack in my beginner years. Yeah, that's a good point. Be careful if you're riding, having the bananas or sandwiches in there. And Kless08 says, Kevin, I love your videos. I learned how to snowboard watching your beginner, intermediate, and advanced snowboarding videos. Awesome. So glad they helped you out. That's great to hear. All right, let's go for one more question. All right. Highland Cow says, did you start filming your snowboarding so you could get better and improve? Yeah, that's a great point. So when I started filming snowboarding, it was for the YouTube channel, but a huge benefit was actually being able to watch myself back snowboarding, and that was a huge tool for learning and seeing like what I could improve in my riding as well. So if you're looking to improve your riding, definitely filming helps a lot. And somebody said that I missed a super chat, so I'll go up, answer the super chat, and that'll be the last question. Oh, Cody Kimber with the super chat from Australia thanks for the support, says, are you doing a Japan trip in 2021? I think so. Yeah, we'll probably be going back to Japan. Like Japan is just too good. The powder, the trees, the people, the towns, everything about Japan is amazing. So I think we'll be, yeah, definitely going back to Japan. It's just like a powder wonderland there. So definitely going to hit it back up, but awesome. Sweet. I think that's it. Thank you guys all for tuning in, hanging out for the live chat today. And stay tuned because yeah, some videos coming out with the unboxing of the Battalion Surfer and setting it all up. But yeah, I'll talk to you guys again next week, next Thursday at the same time, 3:00. But yeah, until then, like, yeah, thank you guys all for watching, for hanging out. I hope everyone out there is staying safe and being able to get out, do some fun things out in the world. So thank you guys again. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys next week. Thanks a lot. Have a good one. Later, guys.